Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our program tonight. And we are back in session. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Mom's Night In. I am your host, Tanya May Event, and we are so excited to be with you tonight. This is December. It's a special. We are done, at least for the mid-season, with our shows. And so we have a special program that I'm so excited. I can hardly contain myself for tonight's show. So welcome, Janice and Shira. You are here with me as well. So go ahead and unmute yourselves and say hello to our guests. I know you have younger ones in the background, but we are excited. It's okay if the younger ones are here. Say hello to our guests and just be able to welcome everyone who is here. How you ladies doing tonight?
Good. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm saying I'm good, but y'all see someone's missing. Someone who's usually online with us is not here tonight. Miss Markeisha, our producer, is not feeling well. So Markeisha, we hope you feel better. So if you've been with us any amount of time, you know that initially this was a one-woman show, and I was doing everything. And thankfully, Markeisha, after she was our guest on our cancer series, she came and wanted to help, and she's been my right hand ever since, and she's been always helping, running things behind stage, but she's not feeling well, and she needed a break tonight. And hey, Journey, I see Journey in the background, so she's saying hi. So Markeisha, I'm going to try to do my best to keep up. I know you're doing an amazing job, but I'm going to try to do double duty here as well. But let's go ahead. We're going to get right into it. I just want to say, hopefully you've all joined us so far for our series. We had moms that had children with cancer, pediatric cancer in September, an amazing series. And then October was just another really heart-wrenching series about moms who lost their moms and just sharing their grief journeys with us. And then last week, we just wrapped up our mothers that had children with traumatic injury. So we had 3 powerful guests on that joined us and shared those stories there. And I want to give a special shout out to Shauna, who was one of our guests, and Kendall. She posted on Facebook that Kendall had surgery. She had to have oral surgery today, but when she has surgery because of her brain injury, they actually have to stay in the hospital for 8 hours. So I believe they may still be there. But Shauna, if you're watching, we just want to say hello. We are praying for you. We're praying for Kendall. We hope her surgery went well. We hope recovery is going well. And we hope that all is well. So I see comments here. So let me put it up because Markeisha's not here. I got to remember I got to do Markeisha's job as well. So Carmen, welcome. Good evening to you. Yes. And Nicole, she's saying good evening from Woodbury. Yes. Welcome back. And our guest, Ann, one of our past guests that has joined us as well. And we want to say hello to you as well. And yes, Markeisha is on here saying hi. And Ann is saying she hopes you feel better, Markeisha. We all do. We need you here. we need you back there. We're definitely going to miss you tonight. And then, I see my sister down from Maryland is on. Terry is on. Good evening. Good. And she definitely needs that. So Jocelyn and Jeff, when y'all come, y'all talk directly to Terry because she gets help with her finances. She's a spender. Look, she's a spender. No, I love her. She is fashionable. She is the fashionista of our family, and she's just an amazing sister. So I want to say hello to her as well. All right. Well, I am not going to hold us up any longer. I want to bring our first guest out because we have so much to talk about. But again, for those series, I just want to give a plug, faithfilledmoms.org. If you have not been on our site, please go. And if you've missed any of our stories from this season, please, all of the stories are there, the blogs, the Moms Night In conversation. If you know someone who's going through any of those topics we mentioned or any of the other things we talked about previously, loss of a spouse, loss of a child, depression, divorce, child diagnosis, so many different situations that we talk about. So we always say our website is a source of encouragement and inspiration. So if you know someone is down, if you know someone who just is going through a situation and need encouragement, please share our website with them. And also, you can sign up your own email address so you'll get our shows every week. You would have known about our show tonight. And then next week, we have another special where we're going to bring some guests back to do a summary from our mid-year season. So we are excited to close out 2023 strong. And we're also planning for an amazing 2024. Shira is interviewing our guests and getting their stories ready. And we are ready off January. I'm going to guess I'll do a sneak peek. January, we're bringing mothers whose children have struggled with drug addiction. So it's going to be another powerful series. So we're working with those mothers and getting their stories, and we're just really, really blessed and honored to be able to share those stories. So please, if you have not already, again, up faithfulmoms.org, leave us your email address, and you'll get an email every week with our series. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to go ahead and before I welcome our first guest, I want to ask you two ladies. You know, this is a special about finances. So what are you looking to get out of tonight's show? What are some of maybe struggles that you may have with finances that you want to get some help with tonight?
I definitely could benefit from some of the do's and don'ts around the holidays. I think you just get caught up in the excitement of it all, and it's just natural to overspend or unnecessarily spend.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, I'm a little bit of an emotional shopper, so I know, like, if I'm having like a rough day or something like that, I tend to, I got a thing for retail therapy, so
yeah,
I have to watch it with that.
Interesting. Okay, and you, Janice, what do you feel, or what's something you're looking to get information on today?
I will definitely say I agree with Shira. I would love to learn more about discipline tricks, or ways to be able to be a little bit more disciplined, not just throughout the holidays. I think that what we learned today can really carry us out throughout the year too. So I'm just kind of excited about learning some of those fundamentals of maybe not diving as deep into the whole of retail therapy. I don't know if anyone's like me, but where you feel like, hey, I've already started, let's just go all the way in at this point.
You only live once, right?
YOLO, Tanya, YOLO.
Oh, and yes, Terry, yes, you are absolutely you. So I think, and I'll be transparent as well, I think for the holidays, I always go in with a budget. I always say, this is what I'm going to spend. And I always overspend. I always say I'm not going to use a credit card. And at some point I'm like, well, I'll put it on here, then I'll pay it off. And I don't. So it's interesting. This year was the first year, Black Friday weekend, I did not spend a dime. I have never in my life not shopped on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. So it was very interesting, but I just wanted to make sure that I kind of got through that emotional spending, had my list from my kids. And I'm hoping that it's funny. The other day I was like, if you can only get one pair of shoes, what would it be? They both gave me very expensive shoes that they wanted, but it's, just kind of try to balance certain things and just making sure that I am not going overboard. So that's my goal. And I hope I'm even more inspired tonight after hearing from our guests to really stay on that path. So let's go ahead and get started with our first guest. I'm going to bring out Miss Jocelyn Wright, the wonderful, beautiful Jocelyn Wright, my sorority sister from Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and a fellow Blue Hen from University of Delaware. Jocelyn, how you doing, girl?
I am doing well. Glad to be with you tonight.
I was so glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And you're going to see me moving around. So I'm going to quickly read your bio here, and I'm going to put your flyer up so everyone knows how they can get in touch with you. So please take this information down as I give you a little bit of information about Jocelyn. So Jocelyn has over 30 years of financial services experience and has been working with individuals since 2022. She received a BS in Business Administration and Finance from the University of Delaware and earned her MBA in Finance at Howard University, graduating with Beta Gamma Sigma honors. Jocelyn is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Philadelphia Alumni Chapter, and serves on the board of the Foundation for Financial Planning and Change, Create transform. She was recognized by Investment News in 2016 as one of the 20 most influential women to watch. And in 2020, she was nominated for the first annual Association of African American Financial Advisors 50 Under 50 program. Jocelyn is also a frequent guest on Good Day Philadelphia. So Jocelyn, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's give her a hand clap. Yay. So let me get you off here. I told you I'm over here struggling, trying to do two things, but Jocelyn, welcome. So you heard what we had to say about the help we need and our struggles that we need. So I want to ask you, start us off talking about the importance of a budget, not only for the holidays, but really as a lifestyle. But we'll specifically target in on budgeting, but just kind of talk about that in general, and then why it's so important to have during the holidays.
Well, one, and I'm glad that you already mentioned it, that you set a budget. So that's great. Kudos to you. I know it can be very hard to do because it can be so overwhelming. You see all of these deals and you're just, if you're like me, I love a good deal. So you have to control yourself to not overspend. And by having the budget, you're setting that parameter. So you're putting, kind of that box around your money that says this is all that I have to spend for that. And if we can do a little bit of a mind shift, I know we'll talk about sort of the behavioral aspect around that with your next guest, is to, make it fun for yourself. See if you can come under budget, make that a goal versus, wanting
That's
to,
good. Yeah.
to go over. So
less.
challenge yourself to spend less and just find better deals because there are so many deals that are out there. Now, of course, from a marketing standpoint, all of the companies are trying to throw their best, this best deal after you. So, it's for, I know most of your viewers are from the Philadelphia, the tri-state area. So we remember the store Sims, and educated consumer is our best customer. So just keep that in mind, just educate yourself on deals and try to look for the best deal that is available. And really, again, back to the budget. Set those parameters. And when you do the budget, don't just put in the gifts because it's Christmas. We know that we're going to need wrapping paper, all of those other things that go with it. So you have to add all of that to your budget items.
And decorating, right? House decorating, probably.
All of the decorating, right? All of that goes into it. So, and we can kind of do a throwback, go back to that old school way. If you remember Christmas Club. So your job gave you the opportunity to put money aside throughout the year to save for Christmas. So basically what it is, you're just setting up a savings account. And in this case, the company would do sort of payroll deduction into your Christmas Club account so that this time of year you'd have the money already saved for what you've budgeted for holiday spending. So we can do things like that. And because now we live in such a digital, with electronic payments, you can set up those accounts on, with your bank accounts. So many now have, if you spend less than $1, they'll take that change and add to your savings account. So there are little ways that we can save up for the money, not just for the holidays, but for other, major expense items that we might have. And I know someone mentioned, kind of retail therapy. And that, they're an emotional spender. So in that case, what I say to people like that is set up a line item in your budget. Not just for the holidays, but just in general. This is how much you're going to set aside for retail therapy. And when it comes to, you're having a tough day or something's, may have been emotional for you. Okay, this is the account. This is all you have to spend. So figure, make sure that if you're buying something, it's within those limits. So, there's always a way that we can kind of protect ourselves from ourselves. Good. And this is, certainly a way of doing that.
Awesome. So I think I've heard 2 takeaways already. So first, possibly it won't help us this year, but next year, starting in January, we can set up savings accounts, right? And just decide on your budget, certain amount each paycheck maybe, or a certain amount each month.
Correct.
To send to a special savings account. But the key here is discipline. You cannot touch it. Once you set it and send it aside, you cannot touch it again. Yeah, see, I see Shira's like, I don't know if that's going to work for me. But yes, you have to set it aside and leave it alone for the holidays. And we're talking holidays are not only gifts, decorating your house, if you get live trees or whatever you do there, if you're having a party, if you host Christmas Eve or the the turkeys and the hams and all of those things, they're really expensive. So all of those things you want to make sure you incorporate in your budget and put that aside and plan for that. And then I also heard for budgeting, this was great. I don't do that, but it's great. It's just maybe discretionary funds, and you have a line item for emotional spending, if you know, and you don't have to use it. So you have it there. And if you have a good month, then you can kind of roll it over and maybe get something bigger the next time you may need to spend it. But at least there's something there. Again, I think the key is discipline, that you have to put it in that account and not touch it until it is time. So those are great tips. And I just want to stop and really say quickly, I don't know if you saw Jocelyn, but Patty is on. Patty was our guest. She joined us for our childhood cancer series back in September, and she's also a SOAR from UPI, from University of Delaware. So hi, Patty. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad to have you. We love when all of our past guests come back and join us. So thank you so much. So go ahead, Jocelyn. Keep going. So now here we are. We're about 3 weeks exactly from Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we arm ourselves with to make sure that we are financially responsible during this holiday season?
So along with the budgeting comes planning. So to make sure, you have to have a strategy for how you're going to spend your money. And the closer we get to, the day, December 25th, I think there's a lot of overspending that happens if you haven't purchased the gifts for the people that you wanted to. So you may find yourself like, I got to get something, so let me, just grab some things. So you have to have a strategy and plan that out, who, within your budget, who you're buying gifts for. I know that one of my aunts, who was like, she was always had gifts, and she was a shopper. So she would just have gifts for someone who might come to the house.
My mom
so she just had gifts ready for whoever. But in this case, so that we don't overspend, you have the list. I'm buying for mom, dad, children, however, and that's how you stay within your budget. But the other thing, and we talked about this a little in, yesterday, is if you have children, incorporate your children into this process too, because this is a great way to have a teachable moment. If you have children that are old enough and mature enough, let them understand that you have a budget for your holiday shopping, and then get them involved with, okay, these are the items that you want. This is the budget, help mom and dad figure out how we're going to get as much as you can with the budget that we set aside. And this will be a lesson for them and a teachable moment that will take them throughout their lives, because they see, as I know my parents used to say to me, money does not grow on trees. We all think it does, but so that they know what goes into all of, the holiday shopping. And not only is this a time, to being around our loved ones, but this is also a time that can be very emotional and very difficult for some people as well. So just remember, the reason for the season. It's about, giving and caring and spending time with our loved ones. So in addition, we can also think about, okay, how much do we really need? And as a financial planner, I am very quick to say, before buying that toy or some more clothes or sneakers or something like that, think about, open up a savings account, open up a 529, a college account for, your children or your grandchildren, nieces, nephews, what have you. So use this as an opportunity to also teach about financial education and wealth building.
Yeah. A couple of points I want to follow up on. I love getting the children involved. I'm at the point now where my kids send me the links. What do you want? Where do I get it? But now that I know, if you're sending me the links, you know how much it costs. So if I tell you I have a certain amount, you can kind of go through your whole list, go check the amounts, and let me know which ones are the most, the highest priority to you. Work it out and figure it out, and let me know which is the bundle of gifts. So Kennedy and Cassidy, I sent them the link. I know you're watching, or you'll watch the replay. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk, and we're gonna get your little list together there.
And this teaches about prioritizing, what's important and all of that. So it will go well beyond the holiday season.
Yeah. And I love what you said also about, again, I was sharing, my mom does the same thing. She'll buy, you never know who's going to come over. She hosts the holidays, and you never know who's going to come over. Someone may have a new boyfriend or girlfriend. She just never wants anyone to leave the house without a gift. So she always buys extra. And so one of the things I thought about this weekend, if you all were a part of that frenzy of Bed Bath & Beyond candles for $9.99, I got a couple extra there. I didn't run in my budget, but I got a couple extra in case there were gifts or something So if somebody gets a candle from me, you know where that came from. But I did that same thing in case there was someone, or as I'm going through and maybe I didn't, I know there's someone I want to just maybe treat someone special or say a thank you or do something special for the holidays. And it's nice to be able to have those extra gifts. Maybe if there's something really great sale that you find, you may not need it for yourself, but it's nice to pick up. And it might make a nice gift for someone else. But again, I think like you said, the key is to make sure it's in your budget and not just spending. I'm one of those, if I get a coupon, and that's a mindset for me, a coupon has to be used. I can't let a coupon go to waste, right? Even if I don't need something, but I have a coupon, I have to use it. So that's the mentality. What do you think about that, Jocelyn, in terms of
I am sometimes the same way, having coupons. So it's just like, I don't want this to go to waste. But again, that's where they get you, because it's you got to spend in order to take advantage of the coupon. So by having the budget, the strategy, and the plan in place, hey, I can't do this. The other thing that I do is, also set a limit when you're shopping for certain items, or if you see something that's on sale, that what is I won't buy something, a sort of a spontaneous purchase, if it's over X dollar amount. Like, right. I have to sleep on it for at least 24 hours. If I, can justify the purchase, or I know that if I don't have the cash right now and I'm going to put it on credit, how long will it take for me to pay that off? If you can't justify that purchase, then you can't have it. Excellent. So this is sort of self-regulation. I'm a gadget person. So, you can ask my sisters. I've got, binoculars, I've got tripod, I've got everything in the house. They always talk about me, calling me Inspector Gadget, but they know if they need something to come to me, and I have it. May have one or two, but I got the gadget for them. So, but I do set a limit. Like, if it's, I say like $300 most of the time. It's if over 300, I have to think about it. Like, I'm not going to just go ahead and buy it. So, depending on your situation and how you want to, set that regulation, you set that amount to.
Yeah, I think I lowered mine. I may be like 125, 150 now. So you might be big time. I've lowered my sleep limit.
Gadgets can be expensive. Yeah, like I like the good gadgets.
Yes. So Star, I saw your comment. You're coming over for Christmas this year, so we'll see you. I'll tell my mom that expect an extra guest. I'm sure she'll have. I don't know if you're gonna get a hat or not. That may be pushing it, but she'll have something for you. And Iris is in North Carolina. Iris, I might have to ship that candle to you. I don't know. We'll see. We'll make it out. We'll work it out for you.
And speaking of shipping, you said shipping. That needs to be something on your budget as well. Good. If you have to send gifts to people.
Very good point. Again, those things that we don't think of. And I think a lot of times those smaller things, you just see those swipes on your debit card or credit card, whatever you're using, and you're not tracking them, and they are adding up. So Janice, Shira, any thoughts on what you heard so far? Anything that you feel like you're going to implement?
Well, I would say for me, definitely planning. I'll be honest, I'm not really much of a planner when I spend. I think I just spend and say, oh, it's not a lot. And then you look back at your end of your statement and you're like, wow, I've really spent a lot of money on X, Y, and Z. So just the idea of taking time to actually sit down, create a budget, be intentional about it. I think it kind of summarizes a lot that we've learned this year as far as being intentional about thoughts, but also making sure we add it into our area of finances too. That's really important.
Yeah. And I love Mother Lane said, I'm only doing gift cards. So Mother Lane, you should be very much on budget, because you can just put those names, put those gift cards amount, add them up, and you're in budget. So good job there. Shira, what about you? Any thoughts come to mind?
I'm not gonna lie, my mind is completely blown. I need to learn how to set a budget. I need to learn how to put that line item in there. One thing that definitely stuck out to me was with incorporating the children. My daughters are getting to that age where they want to start buying their friends Christmas gifts. So that's definitely something that we've actually run into this week, is kind of like teaching them, okay, how much do you think you should be spending per friend? So, and then kind of like working with them there, because they don't, see that yet. Like, how much they should be spending. And we're talking about a couple of friends here. So
that's interesting. That's another thing. I want to buy for my friends. I didn't budget for that.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like, I was completely surprised. I want to get my friends Christmas gifts. Wait a minute.
We're going through that as well. And now we have Friendsgiving, Now I'm being asked about a Friendsmas, which I did not know that existed either.
Friendsmas.
Yes, so we have to plan for that as well.
Okay.
For that as well. So Iris said she just retired from the post office, and shopping is expensive. If the store has shipping, I will send it. And yeah, and I try not to buy online if it's not free shipping anyway. That's enough to keep me from getting something if it doesn't have free shipping there as well. So
now, and when I would say with the free shipping, that's another way that they trick you to spending more, because it's like, oh, if you buy $50 or more,
you're
and most of their items are $48.99, you're like, oh, now I have to get something else for the free shipping. So I, several times have said, you know what, you don't need all of this extra to get free shipping. Just pay the shipping. We have to think about that as well, because that's another, enticement that gets us to.
That's a great point, because I'll do the same thing where I'll keep looking, and it's like you're buying something that you don't need, so say you're $6 away
maybe
from shipping.
$7 on shipping.
Yes, yeah, and you're spending even more than that. But so those are all great tips. And for budgeting, there's apps out there that help budget. I am a math girl. Everybody knows my major is math. I use spreadsheets. I love Excel to this day. I have Excel. I have my paycheck. I have my line items. I do some macros and things like that on Excel, but I have the calculations and all that. And every pay period, I'm going through my budget and going through that. So that's the way. But there are apps that do that. So if anyone's looking and really interested in trying to create a budget, and we say, zero-based budget means what you get is what you spend. You know what I mean? So when that budget you set, whatever your paycheck is that comes in, the net of your paycheck, that's your base. And as you set your budget, whatever you're putting for your budget, it has to equal that amount. Obviously, if you go in the negative, you can't do that. But if you have a surplus, I always say that goes to savings or whatever else you do. But you can do line items for all of those things. So that's how you budget. So Jocelyn, I'm going to ask you for any closing words. We're going to send you backstage while we bring out Jeff, but we are going to bring you back at the end for question and answer. But any closing words in terms of budgeting and just even preparing for the holidays and the new year as well?
Well, another thing to be mindful of too, now there are so many of what I'm calling the electronic layaway plans that are available. So
they're getting me too.
So be very careful with that. So while you can do it over 4 payments or 6 months or what have you, you still have to make those payments. And, you do it so many times that can amount to more than what your budget will allow. So just be very mindful of the afterpays and all of those other things too, because they do add up.
And track those as well, because sometimes you forget it's going to hit. You don't know when it's going to hit the account, and you may have other bills.
And sometimes cash, like using cash, is psychologically will be something that will have you will self-regulate you as well. Because if you're taking the money out of your account to spend, that is very different psychologically than swiping your card. And plus, when the money's gone, it's gone. So you have people now that are using the envelope system, the cash.
I saw somebody posted
system.
that. I think I saw somebody post that as well.
Yeah, that when I do my debt boot camp, that's one of the things that I say. We're going to go plastic free for just a week or 14 days to just see how we spend our money when we're having to use cash.
And when is this boot camp? When does this take place again? Do we want to join this, ladies?
I'll have to get the information. I'm planning for it in the new year. So
please do. Yeah. Wow, I am up for the challenge. And Terry, I'm calling you out. You're going to join me. You're going to join me for this challenge. So Jocelyn, thank you so much. If you have any questions for Jocelyn, please put them in the comments. We are going to bring her back at the end of the show for questions and answers. But go ahead right now while it's in your mind if you have any questions. And yes, we will share about the boot camp. We will make sure we announce it before during our shows. We'll keep you posted so that we can all put these cards down and go with cash for a couple of weeks. All right, Jocelyn, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon.
My pleasure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest. I'm excited because I think, Jeff, you are the first male we've had on our show ever. I just thought of that in 3 years. We have never.
Wow. You guys have been missing out on a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, Jeff, welcome. Jeff the Wealth Builder. We're going to welcome you to Faithful Mom. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly read your bio, and then we're going to get right into it. We have learned so much, and I know that you have plenty more to share with us. So Jeff is the CEO of More Financial Solutions, a boutique financial services firm located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. More Financial Solutions is on a mission to help 5 1,000 individuals over the next 10 years leverage cash value life insurance contracts for asset acquisition, business ownership, and passive income generation. Jeff has been in the insurance and financial services industry for the past 25 years. He is passionate about teaching financial literacy and has helped countless professionals and entrepreneurs get control of their money, get out of debt, build tax-free income, and leave an inheritance to the next generation. Jeff is a graduate of Penn State University, where he received his bachelor and master's degree. And I just learned tonight that Jeff is also a man of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. So welcome, Jeff. We are so glad to have you here. So, we're already in the conversation. You've heard the ladies, you've heard some of their struggles, you've heard Jocelyn. And I know when I chatted with you as we were preparing for this, there was so much that we were even talking to. I'm like, we should talk about this and talk about this. But I want to start maybe on just the mindset around money. So if you don't mind, start us off talking about just maybe some negative mindsets that we may have. And even sometimes we, even in our community as well, may have about money and how that may impact our financial situation.
Yes, a lot of times I like to refer to it as thinking with the money mindset thing, because we always have these thoughts and we never really had good money habits or good money behaviors passed down from us. So a lot of times that we are learning about money, a lot of times that we're learning through how to manage money, sometimes those experiences have been traumatic. So our spending habits and our spending behaviors are bad because of the financial traumas that a lot of people have experienced from things that have been passed down. For example, I know I hear a lot of this in my industry is like, nobody left me anything, so I'm not leaving nobody nothing.
Yes.
You hear things like, I can't take it all with me, so I'm gonna spend everything that I have now. Like, so these negative mindsets, these like stinking thinking habits, it has really destroyed the fabric of money in a lot of communities right now. And so it's imperative now that we have I like to call it a pattern interrupt, so we can like really get control over our finances, so we can start to live our lives out intentionally and be able to fund some of the things that we're passionate about. I'm so happy that you're having this conversation right now, because I recently just read a statistic that said that many Americans are still in debt from last Christmas shopping. And I just think about all of the people who have put things on credit card and like financing their enjoyment, and how interest rates have risen so much on credit cards. It's like now you're in this perpetual cycle where, we call it robbing Peter to pay Paul. And then you go to rob Peter and you can't find Peter, and Paul knocking on your door like, where my money? So
and you paid for that item 3 times over, right? You paid 3 times the amount that you thought you were buying it for.
Well, but the interest rate, if people just look at the interest rates on their credit cards right now, the minimum credit card financing, if you got good credit, is somewhere around 26%. So you can imagine what, the interest rates are on like those Macy cards, and, those cards are typically have a higher interest rates. And if you buying those things and you're financing it, oh man, it's like a perpetual cycle that you have to get out of. And sometimes, we got to get back to knowing better, because many people don't know better, so they can't do better. So we got to be able to put them in a situation where you have a pattern interrupt, so you can learn how to do better, and you can learn how to manage your money more effectively and more efficiently, so that you can really ball out on your own terms for Christmas spending when you've done the right things to allow and afford for you to ball out. But don't be balling out if you ain't had the permission to be balling out.
You made me think of something with these credit cards. So my favorite store is Macy's, and Macy's keeps a sale if you put it on your Macy's card, right? And so as you're talking, I'm thinking, like
they
you said,
keep a carrot. They don't keep a sale. They keep a carrot.
Right. And they get me many times, and I'll buy it. I say, okay, well, I'm just going to pay it off. Like you said, something may come up that your money goes somewhere else. And it's like, if you'd have just paid cash for it, whatever that 20 or 30% savings, you're going to pay that once you pay the interest. You're going to pay that and some if you're not paying it off and you're letting it ride. Like you said, they get you with that. You think you're getting a great deal, but when you never look at the total cost of what something is costing you when you're adding that interest up with it.
So here's one of the things I help a lot of my clients, like, get out of debt and like really position themselves to like financially win. Sometimes I tell them like, hey, stop using the debit card. Okay.
Debit card. Okay.
I know Jocelyn said earlier, like the envelope system. The envelope system works very well. But when you take it to another level and you escalate it a little bit, sometimes you can get a credit card that pays rewards, and you can use those rewards that you accumulate throughout the whole year to go buy gift cards to go finance and spend for your Christmas shopping. But the key to that is if you charge that bill at the end of the month to pay it off. So I'm a big advocate of using American Express, because you get the opportunity to accumulate those points with American Express. And a lot of other credit cards allow you to do this as well. But I like American Express because it's not a credit card, it's a charge card. So at the end of the month, when you pay that balance off, you're accumulating points in the process as well to help you in that endeavor. And those points build up. And then you can use those points to go buy gift cards. And then you can, in essence, have American Express pay to do your Christmas shopping. So that's a different way of thinking and a different way of doing things.
But I caution that takes extreme discipline.
Yes.
So, in order to do that, you have to have discipline to make sure you're going to spend it. Because I've done that as well, where I've had the American Express. And I think mine it was moved from a charge to the credit card because I wasn't paying it off, and go getting those fees and late fees and things like that. And same thing where you may have great intentions, but it just, all of these things we're talking, they take discipline. It sounds good instructionally.
One of the first discipline things you can do with money, one of the first things that my fifth grade educated mother and my seventh grade educated father said, save money first before you spend.
Absolutely.
And they used to always say, if you save money before you spend money, you will always have money. Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things is that there have not been enough education. There's not been a lot of dialogue. There's not been a lot of conversations, especially in our communities, about the importance of saving. We are so spend first. We are so, oh my God, I had a hard day at work today, I'm going out and shopping. We got to stop that kind of thinking. It's okay to do that when you've had the necessary steps in place to do it. But we all willy-dilly out here just spending money like money is unlimited in our households. And a lot of times we don't have money set aside that when a what if happens, we don't have
that emergency fund, right?
We don't have to go in and
do a GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. You tapping your 401k plan now. You're trying to take money out of your house. You rated your kids 529. You're doing all kind of stuff because you haven't done the basics. So if we just get back to the basics, we wouldn't have these issues in the future about overspending for Christmas, because we'd have set aside a spending plan to address all of the things, even the emotional shopping. All of that is contained in a spending plan, because the most important thing is to give your money some directions. A lot of us are not giving our money any directions. So the money is like,
it's just running along by itself, right? It's just running out in the street by itself with nobody watching it, right?
But these are some conversations that,
they need to be had. Yeah.
We run away from it. And I think it's time, I was reading a statistic, and I share this with my clients. I mean, like last year, I'll just talk about Black folks because that's the statistics that I read about. And it was like Black folks made $1.9 trillion came through Black folks' hands last year. And what do we have to show for it?
So listen, I got to tell you something I read about that same, it's probably a similar statistic. It talked about ethnicities. What I want to say was probably African-American, Caucasian, Hispanic, and Asian. And it talked about how long the dollar stayed in each community. And it's said that
That's
for
interesting.
African Americans, the dollar stayed about 3 days. And I want to say maybe Hispanic may have been the next, maybe a week, and then Caucasian was next. But the Asian community, the dollar stayed there 30 days. So if you think about that, the dollar hits your pocket, you're spending it in 3 days or a week or 2 weeks or a month. But it's a matter of, like you said earlier, if your mentality is, when I get money, I'm supposed to spend it, that's what you're going to do. Yep. But if your mentality is, when I get money, I'm supposed to save it, then you're going to hold on to it and plan for it, like you said, and direct it as to where it should go.
And here's a challenge I want to give to your audience right now. If they can just force themselves to take, whenever they get paid, just 10% and just save it first before they do any other spending, their Christmas next year will look a whole lot different than it is looking now. Just that one little minor force habit of saying, every time I get a check, every time I get some money, every time someone blesses me, I'm going to take whatever that financial blessing is in the form of a paycheck or other, and I'm going to save 10% of it before I do anything else. The whole situation as far as having access to money will change in 1 year.
Yeah. And not only that, I think, like even what Jocelyn said, as you're doing a budget, same thing, whatever that 10% is for, maybe 10% or 5%, you have 10%, 5% is for this. And I always caution parents, I have a college age child and another one is about to leave. And I wish back when they were born that I had these budget and line items, that every check I was putting money aside for their college fund, because college gets here before you know it. And you have so many people taking out the student loans, and people believe they're going to die with the same student loan that they took out. They are, in their lifetime, they're never going to pay that student loans off because they've taken so many student loans out over.
So check this out. So like in 2007, right, I experienced, as a financial planner, like as an advisor, I experienced one of the worst things that happened to me financially. In 2007, like the whole market crash, right? Mm-hmm. So my wife and I, we had 4 different business locations. We had a thriving retail business. You know, I had my insurance and financial services practice going. We had real estate that we had investments in. We were doing everything right. And then the phone rang one day, and I had just purchased a mortgage company that I was helping my clients do their refinancing and purchases in the home. And when I was in the middle of a refinance with one of my customers, and he called me and he said, "Jeff, did you hear the news?" And I'm like, "What news?" I've been in the office all day, so I didn't really hear the news. And he's like, "Lehman Brothers closed down." And I was like, "What?" So it was a cycle where all of the wealth that I had built up, all of it had went away. Okay. Yeah. And the one thing that I was not educated on, and the one thing that I was selling a lot of, but didn't know the power of, was the life insurance. So I lost money in my businesses. I lost monies in my real estate portfolio. I lost money, all of the money I had in that mortgage business that I had just purchased. And then the only thing that I made money in that year was the cash value that was in my life insurance contract. And that's when the light went off for me. But more importantly, as I rebuilt myself financially from the most horrific financial experience that I've ever had in my life, I developed a spending plan. So I don't like to use the word budget because everybody sometimes get turned off with budget. Man, I had a spending plan where I started saying, listen, I'm going to allocate my finances in such a way that's going to position me to always be in a position where I have money, so that when anything happens that comes my way financially, that because I have a spending plan and because I force myself to save money first, my money will always save me. And the first thing I did, and I outlined this in the book that I wrote called My Cash Value is King, and the spending plan is a 10-10-10 50-20 plan. And that 10-10-10-50-20 plan goes like this. The first 10% of your earnings you set aside for giving. And I like to set it aside giving for a tithe. And then the second 10% you set it aside to pay yourself. Because who do you work for? You do not work for Coca-Cola. You don't work for McDonald's. You don't work for all of these institutions and corporations. You work for yourself. And the only thing that you're doing is trading time for money. So when you get paid, you pay yourself first, and you pay yourself first a minimum of 10%. And then the third thing that I discovered through the life insurance contract that I own, that because I only made money that year in all of the other financial products, I redirected 10% of my earnings and 10% of what I was making into a cash value life insurance contract. And it was specially designed so you would have cash for emergencies and then cash for opportunities. And this is the biggest thing that I did on the fourth thing was 50% of my income I had to live under.
Live off of. Wow.
So that 50% paid for the mortgage, it paid for the car note, it paid for the utilities, it paid for all of the insurances like the car insurance and the homeowner's insurance, it paid for the food that you had to buy for your kids. So everything had to be in that 50%. And then the 20%, which was left over, that was for fun and enjoyment. That was for vacations. That was for shopping. That was for if your friends get together, your friends like to get together sometime and go and have food, go out to eat for food and stuff like that, and have your own social gatherings. That's
or your travel budget or something like you're traveling. That would come from there, right?
That's where that 20% come from. So by me doing that, it positioned for me to always have a spending plan that I still follow today, that to put myself in a position to always in position to financially win and always have money. Because one of the worst things that you can ever experience is that an opportunity, worst thing to ever experience financially, let me put it that way, is to have an opportunity come your way financially and you can't take advantage of it. So many of us got so many great dreams. So many of us got so many great desires. So many of us got so many good skill sets because God gave us so many special talents and so many special skills. And we have all of these great ideas that will benefit the world, but we can't move on them because we ain't got no money. Yeah. So this is why we got to get ourselves and start to recondition the way that we look at money, the way that we view money, because your money, in my opinion, is supposed to be able to be here for you to fund the things that you are passionate about. So where your passions lie, you should have money to back up where that passion is. If you have a passion in your church, your money should be able to back it up. If you have a passion in your fraternity or your sorority, you should be able to have your money as a vehicle to back up some of that passion, to be able to leave endowments, to be able to leave certain things to help that organization live long after you do. Your money, in my opinion, is supposed to be in to help you to financially win and take advantage of opportunities when opportunities come their way. One of the biggest lessons that I learned was from two men. One of them was Rockefeller. Now, I'm not talking about the side of him that was a cruel and businessman. I'm not talking about that side. But the side that I'm talking about is from the monetary, the money perspective. Rockefeller set up a system when there was always money in the family at all times. And that money in the family at all times was leverage. And a lot of times that leverage started those businesses that helped their family be in a position to, even till this day, be one of the largest givers in the world. The Rockefeller Foundation give out more money each year than any other charitable organization. And that's aspirational. And the second thing came a quote from a man named Warren Buffett. And he said, somebody's sitting in the shade today because somebody planted a tree a long time ago. Yeah. So we as a family if we can start to adopt these kind of principles, it will be money in our families to fund the things that we're passionate about, to start the businesses that are in our hearts, to do all the things that we are, can financially do to win. And it could be perpetual from family to family to family, where there's always money. Just picture that for a minute. Imagine creating a new set of goals and ideas where there's always money in the family to fund the family ideas. You don't know if your great-grandchild is going to be the one that comes up with a business idea that can propel and help the next generation into the future. Look at all the great things that's going on in AI right now. Your kids got ideas in gaming and all of these things. And what happens if you have money that you can put behind to make those dreams come to reality? And it all comes with us just taking some simple steps to like get back in control of our money, start saving before we spending, start investing, start not getting out of debt. One of the biggest pay increases that you can ever give yourself is just to get out of debt.
Absolutely.
One of the things I teach with my clients, and why we so debt averse, is because every dollar that you spend financing credit card debt, you lose the rights to earn interest on that money forever.
That's right.
So when you think
someone else is earning interest on it, right? Somebody's earning interest. It's just not you.
Why you think Visa and MasterCard and Discovery, all of them love you so much? Because they like, wow, she's sending me all of this money every month. You're basically their passive income stream because you're financing debt from Macy's, from BMW, from Lexus, from all of these entities that you're carrying interest every month on. You're somebody else's passive.
You're their financier, right? you are their financier. That is amazing. Shira, Janice, thoughts? What do y'all think? What do you think so far? It's a lot. There's a lot here. I know, Jeff, for me, I got a lot to think about, especially, in terms of the percentage of your income. And, obviously people maybe, I would say, don't get discouraged no matter where you are now. It's a progress, right? Just be a work in progress and have something that you're working towards. And with you and with Jocelyn, obviously, to reach out to financial advisors to be able to help you get your finances in order, and to kind of, if that's not something you're strong in or you have a lot of wisdom in, there's people that specialize in it. That's why we have this show, so that we can get help. And if people need additional help beyond this show, that's available to them. So go ahead, Shira.
Oh, I'm taking notes. So, but one thing that stuck out to me, something that you said about learning how to not spend then save, but training. Was it changing the pattern to save and then spend? And Tanya, it actually reminded me of something your mom told me years ago. I had testified in church about a promotion on my job, and then a financial increase because of it. And she said to me, and I never forgot it, she said, act like you never got that increase.
Oh, yeah.
So when that comes, you put that away. Live like you've been living like, you've been living
like your salary fine 10 years ago, right? Whatever your salary was 10 years ago, still living on it.
Yep. And she said, so now act like you didn't even get it. It goes away. And that has stuck with me for years. And then the other big thing was the education part. And it was just thinking, if we train ourselves to start thinking differently about how we save and about how we make our money work for us, then we're putting our children ahead of the game, so that when they become adults, they're already thinking like this. They're already trained, train up a child in the way they should go. So they're already prepared to start thinking. They don't have to backtrack in their late 20s or their 30s or even older, to start thinking at that point. They're prepared when they go out into the world.
Yeah. And I'm going to bring, I know we're running behind, I'm going to bring Jocelyn back out on stage, Janice, before I ask you for your comments. And those that are watching, if you have any questions for either Jeff or Jocelyn, we have about 7 minutes left. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. But Janice, any thoughts now after listening to Jeff? Anything you're thinking about, anything that stuck with you? Any changes you feel like you're going to be making in the future?
Yeah, this was fantastic. I mean, I think, one of the main takeaways I've never heard before about paying yourself. That was good, right? Like making sure that you put money into your account that's yourself out of your paycheck. I thought that was fantastic. And kind of just a reminder that what you see isn't always what you see. Just because you have $5 don't mean you got $5. Right? Like you should be spending less than that. You have $5.
You got $250, right?
You got $250, Tanya. Right? And then that other $250 needs to be working for you in some capacity. So just because you have it doesn't mean it's got to go out the window. And that paying yourself stuff, it goes back to being intentional. I just don't think sometimes that we're as intentional about our finances as we think we should be, because it's like, oh, you know, it's money, it'll come back. But having intention behind it, I just think this is one of the main takeaways I'm taking away from both speakers. So thank you guys.
Wonderful.
Can I just piggyback on something that I think Shayna said? She said when she got a pay increase, like one of the things I, always stress and teach, like a pay increase doesn't necessarily mean a pay in lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So the way that we have to start to train our mind is, let's go out and build some passive income that will pay for our lifestyle increase. And don't let our paycheck be the thing that we have to survive off of for lifestyle. Because I think that's one of the biggest areas that we have to have a mental mindset shift is a lot of times we are living above our income.
Yes.
We are living in houses that we really should not be living in. We're driving expensive cars that we really shouldn't be driving. One of the big things that I saw even just this past week, one of the richest investors in the world, who was Warren Buffett's partner, named Charlie Munger, he recently passed away at age 99. And my man lived, it was for me, I was like, wow, he lived in the same house for 70 years. And I was like, wow, how many of us, like,
right,
the first time we get a pay increase, like, we like,
you're looking for a new place, right? You're spending it.
Here.
You're finding something to spend it on. You get an increase in mentalities. I got to spend it. I have to spend it.
So sometimes we just got to have a spending plan. That's why people get so many. The feedback that I've gotten is that people are so turned off with budget. So I'm like, okay, well, we got to reintroduce this budget thing to people. I'm like, you got to have a spending plan. So what's your spending plan? And a lot of people never ask themselves that question. Like, okay, well, what is my plan to do with my money? Because we've been so conditioned that your money is supposed to pay your bills. No, we gotta change that narrative. Our money is supposed to fund the things that we're passionate about. That's one of the things that we have to do. We got to start working with more professionals like Jocelyn,
like yourself and Jocelyn. Absolutely. Like and I'm putting y'all information. Their information is coming up. So their websites, their Instagrams, please make sure you write it down.
To give you a money plan, a money strategy, so you could be able to live life on your terms.
Yes.
That's what this money thing and this chasing money thing is all about. Yes. It's about living life on your terms for you to financially win, so you could be a giver. Like, how much better will our communities be, and our churches be, and our charitable organizations be if we just had a pattern interrupt and started repositioning, repackaging, rebuying assets that's going to produce passive income for us? How much better our lifestyles would be.
Yeah. Jocelyn, any close? Yeah, I was gonna say, go ahead.
Well, two things. One is, I know when you were talking about how long the Black dollar stays in our community. So that's not just about how we spend money. It's also how we're funding and supporting other Black businesses. So the key part of that is it's leaving our communities and we're spending those dollars in other communities. So they talk about if we just double the amount of time that the Black dollar stays in our communities, how that would help businesses. So, that leads to many other things. And I'm not just saying do it, just to spend recklessly, but again, having intention, having a plan about how you spend your money. There is a book that's called Our Black Year. It's by Maggie Anderson. She wrote about, she and her husband live in Chicago, how for a year they tried to only spend their money with Black businesses and how difficult it was. One, it shows you how, some businesses that we don't have a presence in, but like grocery stores, different things like that. So just think about that. If we're intentional about not only how, but where we spend our dollars, that how much of a difference that will make in our communities. And then the other thing, I think it's great how Jeff was talking about the mentality and the mindset. There's a book called The Millionaire Mind by Thomas Stanley. And one of the things in the book that he says everyone wants to be a millionaire. But no, not everyone wants to save $1 million. We want to spend $1 million. So we just have to think about that. Regardless if you want to be 1,000 or 100, whatever, that means you have to save that amount of money.
Absolutely.
It's not that you just want to spend that. So it all starts with the mindset and how we use our money to do the things that we want to do.
Just to really point out, we have the 8th largest economy in the world. and we can make some change by doing that. Thank you, guys. I have to sign off.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next week, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Good night.